Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Footy Show daily. We are live if you're watching on Patreon. And get your comments in while we're discussing all the latest news. Baz Footy is back tomorrow. It is back. The Bundesliga is back tomorrow. Let's get hyped. Let's get excited. Let's get our German lederhosen on. Big Steins sitting at home at 2:30 and let's watch some footy. Suddenly all the problems have disappeared.
Well, I mean, driving into the studio, it seems like a lot of people think that it's all over anyway, so everything's back to normal. But no, you know what? We've said before on here, haven't we, that this is the time when we like to move away from everything else that's going on and chat about footy, and it'll be nice to actually watch some football tomorrow. We know the other side of it. We know the things are going on, and it's been life-changing for the last 3 months. But it will be nice to sit down tomorrow and just watch some footy. I need to just remind me missus that I will be watching football again tomorrow.
And what else would she expect you to do?
Go out for a walk or something. Get that done early doors.
Walk, schmuck. That's what I say.
Good. It's got to keep you there. Got to keep your mental health up and your exercise.
That's what the footy's for, though. Football is... It's exercising your brain and your emotions. Well, that's what it's...
I mean, it'll be interesting, won't it? I know that we've got a video out which is quite... when we went to Germany.
Yeah, make sure you...
They're all coming back out, and particularly when you look at the Dortmund one, again, you just go... Because in your mind, you're immediately going, hang on, no social distancing there. As we're 3 of us are stood in about a 2 foot space. But it'll be strange watching it. But like I said to you when I watched the Korean game the other week, after about 10 minutes, your mind just goes into the football again.
But do you think that might be because you don't watch Korean football very often, so you don't have any expectations of it? Do you know what I mean? I'm not like criticising you for not watching enough Korean football, Baz. You know what I mean?
Felt like you were.
You're a full K-League advocate. I know that.
Felt like you were.
No, what I mean is though, you switch German footy and you have a certain level of expectation of the fans and the atmosphere, and listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think personally, once we get through that first bit at the beginning with it'll settle down, and it'll just be really interesting to see, whether from a directorial point of view, how they choose to show the game in terms of obviously you have shots sometimes where
presentation point of view,
they're pulled back and you see the crowd where I wonder whether, as I said the other day when we did a show, I watched the UFC and it was very obviously they made the place very, very dark. It's an old trick they used to do in the wrestling years ago when the arenas weren't full. They'd make they'd make the areas of the place that weren't full very dark. And I wonder whether they'll do that with stadiums, whether they'll sort of try and black out the actual sitting areas and focus purely on the pitch so that you never feel as a viewer like you're not missing out on it. And that's what I genuinely hope they pump in crowd noise.
Well, Atlanta, we've seen this in MLS, haven't we, with Atlanta United? They play at the same shit, the Atlanta Falcons, so that's 70-odd thousand, and Atlanta United have had 70-odd thousand for some MLS games, but other times when the stadium only used the 30, I think it's about 36,000, they keep the top tier blacked out, so you actually the camera's very clever that it doesn't go above to that top tier, so you just see the lower and it looks full. I think what I'd be, if I was the clubs, or from, like you say, if you're talking about a presentation point of view, I'd have, if it was Everton, for argument's sake, I think I'd have blue banners in there to make it look like the crowd.
Like flags on the seats.
Big things, so that there's no crowd there, but it doesn't look like empty seats.
But one of the clubs,
I hope, just to back up what you just said then, I hope they do have crowd noise piped in, even if it's just a background hum of noise, because if that's going on, your mind can't. It isn't so much like hearing the players screaming.
And that's it, then you're not hearing the players talking to each other. And it doesn't feel like it's a practice game. And I know one of the clubs is put cardboard cutouts of fans, hasn't he, in the seats. Things like that. And I know, listen, people might go, don't want, but for the viewer and for the fan as well, you just want to create a feeling that this is real, because it's a thing like in films when people say, oh, it took me out the film. Something will happen in the film where you're immersed, you are fully immersed in that environment, and then something takes you out the film and it makes you think. You know what I mean? And if you're watching football and you're immersed in it, you don't want things taking you out the game. And I think when we watched those games in the Champions League, the Paris Saint-Germain one, say, we were taking out the game. We couldn't fully concentrate on the game because of the crowd. That's one of the reasons why when Bundesliga does come back, I'm probably just going to stick on like the goal show and just let them go from ground to ground, because then I'm not actually in a game. I'm listening to people talking about the games and what's going on, and the jump from the, and they just show me the best bits. So I'll probably do that anyway. I might like stick on one game just to see what it's like, but I'll probably just watch the goal show anyway, because I prefer that. I've got a very short attention span, as you know, Baz, and you know, might have even Red Dead now. If you don't
just
mind. No,
you don't need to convince me.
I like that. I like that kind of show. But yeah, the more little tricks they can pull to make you feel in the game, I think the better.
I mean, the thing about it is, we're gonna have to. This isn't gonna be a temporary measure.
Exactly.
And what I mean by that is, this isn't gonna be something that is just for this next 6 games. This is gonna be, let's be honest,
6 months.
Probably gonna be for me, the very minimum will be 6 months, Pet. I can quite easily see a situation where they just say next season, listen, let's just nothing in the stadium until 21-22 season, and that way they can make. I mean, listen, the
counterbalance.
You've got to add it off. So if it's going to be a long-term thing, i.e. 6 months plus, then put these things in place now, because us, the viewer, I've seen people saying, I won't be watching. Fine. Some people might want to watch it. That's fine. But I would say if you're a real football fan, you will come back to it. You might not be ready yet, and that is fine, of course. Yeah. But I think at some stage, the pull of football will pull you back into it. And so you want to sit down and watch a game of footy. And you're right, you don't want to be aware of people shouting to cross the ball or whatever. You want to be aware of that background noise. You want the commentators to take... You want it to almost feel like it's normal, even though it isn't normal.
This might sound stupid, right? We play a lot of footy games. We play Pez on our channel. Yeah. It's one of our shows, right? When you're playing that game, how much difference is that game when you've got the sound turned down to when it's up? It's completely different, isn't it? Yeah. When you're playing it, you want the commentator, you want the crowd noise. You know it's a computer game, but that game wouldn't feel the same if it didn't have a commentator and the crowd noise, to the point where people complain about commentators on computer games and complain about crowd noises. It's got to be spot on. So when there's absolutely no difference from when you watch it on TV, you want to feel immersed, and I think that's going to be such an interesting thing coming out of it.
Well, we've had I mean, Owen Park says if we go into next season with no crowds for the most part, we will see some gloriously terrible games. But so what you say, you know, I mean, I'm not arguing with it because I don't know whether we will or we won't. But what I mean is, it's a game of football. So I've played in front of crowds and I've played on a Sunday. We played against each other in Sunday footy. We still had some brilliant games. There might have been 12 people there. At some games, there might have been hundreds of people there. But a game of football is a game of football.
And also, it's about the environment you're in. I've played games of football, and I'm not comparing this. It's like professional football.
No, of course,
but I've played football. I've played in empty football stadiums. I've played in Goodison about 10 times, right? And I've played in empty stadiums, and it's a weird feeling. Yet I've played on a Sunday or a Saturday when there's people all the way round, and there might only be 100 people there, but it's intense. And yet I've played in a stadium. It's all about the atmosphere you can generate, and I think if that's what we're talking about, if you generate some kind of atmosphere, and listen, I've got no problem if you want to put cardboard cutouts of fans, because at the end of the day,
I'd have big tifos.
Well, that's another thing we said the other day.
Germany I'm sure.
You could put some new grounds, and I'm sure they already have facilities for the use, because some grounds are used for different, concerts and stuff. Curtains all the way around that can simulate. Listen, it won't be long before you can. We've both been to Disney. We know how they do the mapping, the video mapping on the castle and stuff. We've seen it in Liverpool on the live buildings and stuff.
When they project
won't be
images onto water at Disney.
It won't be long before they can put curtains up on the stadium and project crowds into them.
So even the players, it'd look like there was crowds.
Exactly. So
I kind of understand what you're saying, Owen, but in some respects, we might actually get higher quality games if it comes down to the football. The reality is,
we don't know.
We don't know, do we? So we're looking at it and going, it might be better, it might be worse. We can only think of it, it's a football game and the crowd make it all. But when push comes to shove, it's the 11v11. The quality of those two teams make the game. We're the other bits, and we can influence different moments.
What I would say is, though, this is the first real test. This is what we're saying. This is the Bundesliga. What's interesting is Bundesliga have decided to go back. There's not been many complaints. We've had a couple of incidents with teams. We had a manager who left his hotel to get some toothpaste, and now he's banned off the touchline for a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah, didn't you see this yesterday?
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh yeah, one of the managers left the hotel, the quarantined hotel, to go and buy some toothpaste.
Oh, okay. Well, that does kind of defeat the quarantine hotel.
Yeah, so he's now banned for 2 weeks. It was his first, I'm sure it was his first game as the manager as well.
Good start.
So they're happy to go ahead, and as I say, it's going to be very interesting because in other times when we had like the Paris Saint-Germain game, it felt like something was just about to happen and no one was quite sure, and we had the fans outside, bad mix that night. Now we know exactly what the circumstances are. We know how it's going to work, why it's happening, and this is how it's going to happen for the next few months. You've got to make the best of it, the best of a bad situation. So maybe this weekend they'll go in and they'll watch the first couple of games and go, do you know what? No, next week we need to do something. So then you've got a week then to say, should we have we got like footage, audio footage of like Dortmund on the yellow wall, say, right, let's start pumping that in. And when someone scores, you do the old Jadon, Sancho, and all that kind of thing to make it feel for the players and for the audience. And that's, this weekend's just going to be...
I would have the background. Dortmund will have raw footage of their stadium. There's been that many games played there. They could get sound from their crowd and just have that pumped in, couldn't they? Schalke could do the same and all of that. And then it's a thing for... If you're looking at the Premier League, using Bundesliga as the roadmap, so to speak, then for us, looking ahead, we're 4 weeks behind, 4 or 5 weeks if you're doing it by the numbers. It gives the Premier League a chance to say, well, what's working when Germany... I'm not talking... Obviously, health and everything, but I'm just talking from a purely aesthetic point of view here, with how you screen the games and for the clubs to go, well, how can we help with this? It gives you that opportunity to do it.
People will be massively surprised at how different presentation choices, change how they feel about a match. We've watched MLS matches with no commentary, and it feels weird. So you've got, and that's with the crowd, and that's with a full stadium.
But it feels weird, but it also feels like the crowd noise is being pumped in because
that's what I'm saying.
Because
there's no overlap, and it's that's the thing. Listen, I've been to like WrestleMania, and it was weird because I've watched wrestling with commentators. I'd watched wrestling with commentators all my life. So to be in a stadium and just watch purely organic, it's because that's how it's been presented to me. So of course, the presentation is a massive thing, and we're going to find out over the weekend. So,
Owen says, I know, Baz, but the crowds do push sides forward more, I think, especially in the last 15 minutes of games. Without that atmosphere, will teams do the same? Well, it depends they're
going to have to.
What the prize is.
They're going to have to find a way, aren't they?
You've got to... crowds do make a difference, they do. But you don't know whether they also could make a difference negatively, Owen. Couldn't they? So we can say, Goodison's amazing when the crowd are on it. Everton drive forward and try to win the game. Everton might drive forward and try to win the game because the crowd aren't on the back every time they give the ball away. Yeah. But you know what? Even if it is even if that does make a big difference, it like you just said, we've got to get used to it because it ain't going to be it's not going to be the normal thing for the next 6-8 months. The new normal for football for the next 6-8 months will be playing in a stadium with no crowd that is the new normal, and we have to get used to it, don't we?
Yeah, well, is any particular game you're looking forward to?
No, all of it. I mean, Dortmund Schalke will be interesting because obviously John Joe Kenny playing against the likes of Jadon Sancho will be an interesting one moment, and Haaland. So we can have a look at John Joe from that perspective. I love watching Dortmund anyway. But
when is that game?
Isn't it? It's tomorrow. I'll find out for you right now. But I watch the German football anyway, normally.
Yeah, I watch it.
When it's on,
especially
the R5 game on a Saturday night, always a good game. Tomorrow, so we've got Dortmund Schalke 2:30 tomorrow. Augsburg, Wolfsburg, 2:30. Dusseldorf, Paderborn, where we've been, 2:30. Hoffenheim, Hertha, 2:30. Leipzig, Freiburg, 2:30. And Frankfurt, Mönchengladbach.
When are Paderborn playing?
2:30 tomorrow.
Because there's an Everton connection in Paderborn as well, isn't
there? There are Anthony Evans, yeah. But let's at Dusseldorf they are, which is I mean, if you're looking at the league table, resuming tomorrow, the bottom, Paderborn are bottom at the minute with 16 points. We're the Bremen, Davy Klaasen's team, second bottom. 4 points adrift, but with a game in hand of Dusseldorf. And then obviously going up to the top end, Dortmund, Bayern Munich aren't playing tomorrow. I think they're playing Sunday. So Dortmund beat Schalke tomorrow. They go within a point. So
there you go.
It's
big stuff.
Very interesting. Elsewhere on the comments there, Matthew Barry, afternoon lads, really enjoyed the Bundesliga experience video. Do you think it'll be more important to foster that supporter immersive format when we get to Bramley Moor Dock to ensure as much money is spent on site? Well, we've really bigged up the German atmosphere. It was incredible for us, wasn't it? We had no emotional investment in the game, so we really enjoyed it. But we spoke about how incredible the fans were when we were there. You know,
both teams,
even bottom of the league.
I don't know if everyone's seen the videos, but there's a couple of videos, a couple of different match day experiences. So there's the Paderborn and there's the Dortmund. There's two different match day experiences, and then there's another video.
Dusseldorf and Dortmund, not Paderborn.
Sorry,
because you're thinking about Dusseldorf, Paderborn.
And then there's another video where we talk to people about how Everton can replicate the atmospheres and stuff. So I'll put those videos out. Listen, when we went to Germany, they treated us so well. The access they give us was incredible. You know, we got on the yellow wall. We could have gone anywhere we wanted, literally in the stadium. We had passes. And then the following day, we went back to the stadium. We got access all over the stadium, and we were watching them change the stadium, weren't we? From being they had a Champions League game, didn't they, on the Wednesday? We were watching them like change the stadium round from being a Bundesliga stadium to going to be a Champions League stadium, which made it very noisy as well for us while we were in there. But that was fine.
Going from 83,000 to 60,000.
Oh, what a horrible thought that is. And obviously we've got the safe standing videos are out there as well, which we talk about how safe standing could happen in the Premier League, which is very easy. We experienced that at Dortmund, but we also experienced it when we went to Dusseldorf, and we didn't by watching it rather than being involved in it. But we also experienced being in the stadium for an hour after the game and having a bevy and chilling out and talking to people. And
having no one telling you to get out.
Having no one to say to get out, because they actually realise that if you can't get home, you might as well stay and have a bevy in the stadium, which is just common sense as far as I'm concerned.
Ruse says, hey lads, happy birthday to both the misses for yesterday. Thank you very much, mate. If the Premier League got scrapped and they wanted to bring some way at the side in relegation and promotion, what about some mini playoff tournament between the top 3 championship sides and the bottom 3 Premier League teams as an option? Well, I mean, that's something we've mentioned, haven't we? But I don't know. I mean, why not? But then you're almost denying the top 3 in the championship. You've come up the
honestly, it's a right mess. But what I would say is the League Two clubs have voted to end the season early. They're going to finish. There's going to be no relegations to National League. But I wonder if, like we spoke about before, whether the caveat to that is because Bury have gone, whether they allow one team to come up from the National League. Because otherwise they're only going to have 91 teams, regardless. So they've got to have 92. So
possibly, yeah. Maybe they'll just promote the champions, but...
So we don't know about League One yet.
League One, the talks are still ongoing.
Championship said they're determined to finish the season. But they've said that they've said they're determined. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they said they're determined. So
well, that's because they're not going to get There'll be too much opposition to the likes of Leeds and West Brom coming up if they don't. If they don't play the games, you spoke about it on the Footy Daily the other day when you were talking about the Norwich chairman who've made some really good points. That why should we go down and why should someone get promoted without having to play a game, but we'll get relegated on playing? So it's going to be interesting, that one.
Yeah, it's all. I think from tomorrow onwards, it's going to feel a lot different for us.
Do you?
Because the footy's back. I mean, it feels very different outside because since that mad statement was made the other day, it feels that people have just decided that life's going to go there. It's supposed to or not. But I do feel that once footy gets played over the weekend, I think Monday will come back and I think the Premier League will just be like, there you go. See, it's not that hard.
I suppose maybe in 2 weeks, I don't know whether it'll be from next week as such, but I think what'll happen is they'll have to play a couple of games, see how we go with the testing, and then see if things are okay. And if things are still okay, maybe the middle of, not next week, the week after, the middle of that week, if things are all okay and people are like, listen, they've played 2 rounds of Bundesliga matches, everyone's okay, it's a decent product, then I think you'll see the Premier League stuff really ramping up, because as we know, a lot of teams returning to training on Monday.
Yeah. There you go. Let us know your thoughts and look forward to the Bundesliga starting. Are you following a team? Do you follow a team anyway? I know like people like Kane out there, big Schalke fan, being over to watch them. I had a little bit of criticism on Twitter because I put a nice picture up of me and you at Dortmund. They're, you can't support them.
Why?
Because they sing a song. So the
Celtic, their fans don't like it.
So the Celtic, and I've been a Celtic fan since I was about 5. So as well.
Liverpool sing a song that was Man United's song, 1957. So there you go. You'll never walk alone was a United song first. So
support whoever you want. It's a free hit.
It's Germany. It doesn't matter. I don't support Dortmund.
No,
I like watching them. The sound. Yeah. If Schalke get a decent, I actually like Schalke. They've got Weston McKennie. He's a boss player, and
just watch the footy and enjoy it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. We just enjoy the football side. So
there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you want to watch this video live, get over and join us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Oh, we're so close to 40,000.
Yeah, 28. Come on.
We're so close. Let's get it there over the weekend.
Got to be there this weekend. Got to be.
Join us on Monday when I'm sure we'll be looking back of the weekend in the Bundesliga.
Talk football.
Talking football and nothing else. Nothing else apart from when it's coming back here. Yeah. There you go. See you later.